So you are afraid of something else. We all go a little mad sometimes. You don't know what death is.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Welcome to the Madness. This is part 2 of the Mouse of Madness podcast. Please enjoy.
All right, number 7. My number 7 is Halloween H2O.
Wow.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Now,
Hard disagree. Number 7?
well, here's what I think, right? I'm gonna make some valid points.
There's one movie
I
that
don't
is
know.
yet to be seen that should have been done with in your list.
And it's kind of everyone's kind of sleeping on my list a little bit, but Halloween H2O.
We're definitely sleeping on your list. I'm taking a snooze over here.
Halloween H2O is my number 7. I absolutely love the beginning of this movie. The beginning is awesome. I love the scenes of the nurse, Marion, going in, realizing the house has been broken into.
Yes.
Opening the door in the back opens. Like the awesome footage of like her closing the door, but us seeing Michael Myers walk across the back of her house. That whole opening, and then going in with what's his name, Jimmy next door, right? And what's his name, Gordon Levitt there.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, I loved his part. I love when he goes in.
Yeah,
You know,
great.
right? And he's like going through her house, and all of a sudden he gets spooked and takes out her kitchen.
The funny thing is, remember when he's in the kitchen and he takes the beers and he's like, "Yeah, they took your beer, but like everything else is good."
Yeah. And then he dies by ice skate.
Yeah, yep.
But it's cool.
It's cool, yeah. No, I love Halloween
Now,
H2O.
for me, this is where it goes off the rails.
Okay. This is what I'm excited about. What lands us at number 7?
Well, you take Michael Myers from Haddonfield and you go to sunny California. And like, I feel like you take,
Welcome to the OC.
but you take the Halloween out of Halloween a little bit and you're bringing it to Pasadena, California.
Michael goes on a road trip.
Right. And I do like the scene where he's in the bathroom where he has to change cars.
Yeah.
Girl and her daughter in there.
Yeah.
And you catch that glimpse of him, like where she's looking through the crack in the stall.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. And I love that. But like going to Pasadena, take the Halloween out, sunny Pasadena. This almost becomes a Scream film, and I get it's very nostalgic. In the 90s, they're capitalizing, and I believe they're actually watching Scream 2 in the dorm.
In one of them, yeah.
Yeah, so there is a little nod there, but the mask situation actually just takes me out of this movie. There's what?
But the mask.
4 or 5 different masks.
Yeah, and there's some weird ones there, and like the CGI one is very, very strange.
Terrible.
The mass decisions I don't agree with in this movie, but every other decision I would agree with. Or I would agree with the decisions that were made. You know what? There's like great character development. Would you stick around Haddonfield if you were Laurie Strode?
No.
And you know what? Another thing is it erases all the other Halloween 2. Another one that erases Halloween 2
because Halloween 4 and 5 are canon, right? Because she had the kid.
In H2O.
None of it's canon.
None of it's canon.
H2O, I believe, isn't it 1, 2, and H2O Resurrection?
Yeah.
No, it's 1.
1, 2, or maybe, you're right. Is it 2?
It doesn't take into account anything in 2. Nothing happened in 2.
You're right. It doesn't talk about 2 at all.
But either way,
Because Loomis would have died in the fire and he wouldn't have been in California tracking Laurie down if 2 was there.
Hold on. 2 is in there because doesn't she reference that her brother killed her sister and then tried to kill her when she's
you're
talking
right.
to
You're right.
So Halloween 2 does make...
Professor Boyfriend.
And I believe on that, in Loomis's room at the beginning when they're doing that montage of all the pictures, one of the pictures is a behind the scenes picture of Laurie Strode in the wheelchair.
But how could Loomis be in that room if he was burned in a fire at the end of 2? I get what you guys are saying.
He survived, I guess.
What Loomis being in what room? Loomis isn't in H2O.
Yes, he
Split
is.
the room.
The nurse from the beginning is the
Marion.
nurse that's taking care of Loomis. She's in Loomis's house. Loomis has passed away.
No,
But Loomis's wall of crazy is all about Michael Myers.
That's her
That's
house.
her house.
And I think she took care of Loomis.
She took his files.
Oh, she took his
Yeah,
files?
she took his files, yeah.
I wasn't sure. Okay, so she took his files, but still, she was apparently obsessed with it because she put everything up on the walls and stuff. But
Well, it's funny. She knew exactly, like, you know, when she saw him, remember, she goes, Mike, like, she knew.
that's the only thread that they really take from 2, though, is that there, because there's no mention of hospital scenes or.
You're right. Because, again, they don't want you to concentrate on them being blown up.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and both of his eyes shot.
And both of his eyes shot
Yeah,
out.
you're right. But, I mean, listen, H2O does have some great scenes, you know, I actually like this Laurie Strode. I think this could be like a way of like how she would actually be. Like she's alcoholic and
she's got
having
problems
nightmares,
seeing that, but she's still ready to rock.
And I love LL Cool J.
Yeah,
LL.
He was cool. He was like a book writer or something. He was doing like
I'm like Josh Hartnett in this movie
I liked Hartnett
because he plays like he would play like a son, like who's had maybe not the best like uprising, and like he plays a disobedient teenager rather well.
Right. And for me, like, this is smack in the middle because I like a lot of it, but I dislike a lot of it. You know, it's like, it's in between for me. You know, again, I would have preferred if it was in Haddonfield and felt more like Halloween. But I will say the ending, which is kind of controversial, I actually liked, you know, just chop his head off.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's, again, talking back to what I said in Resurrection, should have been it.
Exactly.
You know? But of course, they had to retcon it, and
yeah.
But regardless, this I'm tempted to give a killer, but I'm gonna give it a survivor. It's on the line for me.
H2O is essential viewing.
Dang, Dan, number 7.
My number 7 is Halloween H2O.
Yeah, you and
what
me.
in the world is
You and
this,
me.
man? You guys were first talking about how you guys were going to be against each other, but now you're like kind of like two pals over here, me and Bearclaw over here, like.
Well, so I kind of you said hit a lot of the points that I was gonna make. Like this is, I consider this kind of like the middle part of the list. Like this is my, you know, this is where things go, like start to get really, really good. Like the rest of my list, these are like my favorite films. I don't like that it's in California.
Right.
I disagree with the character development outside of Laurie Strode. Everyone feels like they're out of an episode of like a B character in an episode of Dawson's Creek.
I think it was written by Dawson's Creek writer.
This
right?
feels like an OC episode.
Like,
Kevin Williamson. I think
there
wrote
wasn't that many kills. And I felt like the kills were.
That's true.
My favorite kill was, I don't know what it is with me and Shafts. The
Yeah.
dumbwaiter.
Yes.
The dumbwaiter scene was pretty
That
cool.
was
Where the girl gets her leg trapped. That was gnarly, man.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I wish there was more showdown, more of a fight or chase. I wish there was more of a standoff between Michael and Laurie. Again, like kind of going back to Halloween, the 81 Halloween 2, I feel like does the best job of capturing a chase scene out of all of the series. And I feel like 20 years later, they really missed an opportunity to really, you know, capitalize on that and to expand it even more, to go with it even more. It just kind of felt the showdown between Michael and Laurie felt very bland.
Right.
This was my, there's 3 definitive endings out of all 13 films. I would say this is my second favorite definitive ending out of all of them, with ends being my least favorite.
Wow.
And 2 being my favorite definitive ending.
Wow. That makes sense.
The Mask's awful.
Right. Yeah.
Awful. Great opening scene. I think that's all I got. Definitely a survivor for me.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. All right, Bearclaw, number 7.
Number 7 for me is Halloween Ends. And, you know, we've talked about this movie a great deal. I agree with a lot of what's being said. You know, it's a coherent movie unto itself. There's a lot of things I didn't like about it. Like, you know, everybody was unbelievably cruel and mean. And, like, a lot of it seemed very contrived, especially, like, why would, you know, Laurie's granddaughter be like obsessed with this loner weirdo character who's also like murdering. I didn't like that murder became this superpower in the context of the movie, and like I didn't even like the fact that Corey guy could beat up Michael Myers at one point in the movie. I thought that was very like, and
I agree with you. I don't think they should have shown that.
Yeah, I don't think they should have shown that either. And like the mask took on this like fetish kind of thing and throughout the movie. So that's why it's number 7 on my list. There were some good parts to it. It's an entertaining movie. Like you said, I don't know how much of a Halloween quote unquote movie it is. I agree with you there, but I'll keep it short because we've talked about Ends a lot, but it's not a great way to end the series. It should have ended with some type of like succession or like that would have been better if Corey became the new evil, or like maybe multiple people became the new evil, and like it somehow went from Michael Myers to like 4 or 5 other people. I don't know, something else besides kind of the just final finale of killing Michael Myers and grinding him up.
Do you think, you know, I heard this on another podcast or something I'd read. Do you think it would have actually been a better idea if Michael Myers was dead in this movie?
Yeah, I think
start and Corey found him in the sewers, and you know all the so he finds him,
and then the white horse shows up.
Well, no, not the white. Dang, man, not the white horse.
Find some fresh fennel in his.
Fresh fennel and a mask and a white horse.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would have been a better idea if he was already dead. Corey finds him, and he starts going more and more into madness, and then he takes the mask off of the dead body, and then bam. To me, that would have been better. But you got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but that's why it's number 7. It's the movie that could have been great, but.
Is this a victim, or
I think it's a victim. It's not really. I don't know. I don't think that there's a lot of value in it.
Well, you're tough with your rating system.
Yeah. So, but that's Halloween Ends for me. I don't know. And the thing is I was so impressed by 2018. I was so impressed with Kills, and then Ends kind of like meh. Like
it was the victim.
It was the victim. So yeah, that's where it sits.
Logan, number 7.
Well. So originally this was number 8 in my rankings, but it has gone up to 7 because I think I've realized that it's better than Ends, and it's Halloween 6.
Okay.
So
The Curse.
Here's the reason why I like Halloween 6. It's because even though it is a god-awful movie, it is literally by far the worst decision to ever make Michael Myers like this kind of like right-hand man of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like the new characters that they were that they introduced. I liked the Danny. I liked the mom there.
Kara.
Yeah. Kara. I liked her because
you like the Man in Black,
Dr. Wynn.
Dr. Wynn.
Yeah, he was something. I think Kara just like I think I actually felt connected to her because I felt bad for her because with her father right, like he was an absolute a-hole, and like I kind of liked when he like. You know, he deserved it, you know, kind of like he deserved what he had coming to him.
Yeah.
And I think like all the kills were very like well timed and well executed, and everything like felt very like well paced. And then they kind of went into this whole like phase of like kind of like cultish madness going on with all these people being involved in this cult of Thorn. And I think just it all went into this whole snowball effect. Paul Rudd's character was interesting to say the least, with his stupid pebbles of justice, whatever the hell that was.
Yeah.
Like, and I think Loomis, why did he have to be in this? This was his last
This
movie.
was his swan song.
I know.
And they had to let him out, like him just looking at his wrist and seeing the logo on it.
And why would you make Loomis? Loomis has already been caring for Michael for 15 years. Like, why would you make?
And what the hell was the ending with Michael Myers just walking into the hallway like it's Teenage Mutant Turtles? Like, what the hell is
I will
this?
say, like, so we're talking about the producer's cut, but I mean, seeing both movies back and forth throughout the years, I actually prefer the theatrical cut.
Well,
now.
we didn't watch the
you didn't watch it.
Yeah.
We watched the producer's
Well, didn't they
cut.
and I read about this, but like in that book, like there was more like about genetic engineering, and like Michael was like
crazy.
There was like hypodermic needles that shot goo into people, and then they became like. So I mean, this movie, it's so off the rails.
It's convoluted.
It's so convoluted, and
It does have a strong second act. I will give you that.
I think
the first act's meh. The third act is just that shit.
its second act made me more like invested into it. I loved when she realized that like the people are crazy and she jumps out the window. Like I thought that was so funny.
Oh yeah, she just dives out.
I thought that was so funny, and it was I think it was just like I would kind of wanted to see how it ended. That I was kind of like, okay, I'm here for it, but like I wasn't exactly like ready to like watch it all. So for that, like I'll give it Survivor. I'll give it a pity Survivor.
Wow.
Because I think like it like obviously it's a victim for anyone who watches it, but like if you're watching it for the first time like me, like I haven't seen it multiple times, I'll probably put it lower on my list if I watch it multiple times. If I watch it more than once, I think I'll just like go ahead and just not watch another Halloween movie. But like, it's really
but it made it to 6 on your
I
list.
know. I was gonna say, man, this
There's
list
7?
is
But all the
7.
other movies are so bad that it's like it's there.
This turd floats.
Yeah, it's like Dan said, like it's just like polishing a turd, and I just think it's kind of just floating in the river somewhere, like Michael Myers coming down
the river.
coming down the river. So yeah, it's there.
Well, speaking of Michael Myers coming down the river, my number 6 is Halloween 5.
Halloween.
It made it pretty high on my list. And
Why in the hell is I forgot about it?
I think Bearclaw talked me into this.
Yeah, I agree. I'm an advocate for 5.
Dan, where are we?
Now listen, I'm going to start off by saying Halloween 5, like we've talked about, has some terrible things, including Michael Myers crying, which to me is like the ultimate, like, how could you do that? Right. Yeah. How could you do that?
Yeah.
You know, seeing
Michael
him going
cries.
down the river, unforgivable. Like, I don't get that. But for me, the scariest scenes in this movie are the scenes at the beginning where Rachel in the daytime is walking around her house.
Mm-hmm.
I wish
And
she was
Michael's
naked,
right
but
by- yeah.
she wasn't. She was in a towel, right? And Michael Myers is in the house, and you get those cool shots of him walking
Why
behind
couldn't
her.
it have just been the friend? Why did it have to be her? Like
I know,
Rachel
I
could
liked
have
Rachel a lot.
survived.
And that's one of my bad things, too, is killing Rachel. But I do agree with what the director wanted to do and try to flip it a little bit in, like, no one's safe in this movie. And I like that. I love, like Bearclaw said, some of the killings were great, with the pitchfork and the scythe, and, some of the chasing scenes were great.
Mm-hmm.
The ending, obviously terrible. How can you show Michael Myers in a prison with his mask on?
Well, we let him keep it. He's got emotional attachment to it.
Tried to kill him the last one. That didn't seem to work. Let's try to put him in a prison cell.
Let's give him some comfortability. Like, maybe if he is more comfortable in this setting, maybe he won't go and kill people.
Yeah, maybe he'll just be docile. But yeah, I mean, all the things we talked about. I mean, overall, to me, this is a fun movie, though. It's fun. It's stupid, but it's fun. I can put this on with a group of friends, and we can laugh, and
because of how bad it is.
Yeah, but it's nothing like Rob Zombie's movies. They're not fun. They're brutal, and like it's just like, ugh. But like, this is like fun to watch with a group. Like you said, it does have scenes where you're just like joking and laughing. But, you know, there is some good scenes mixed in, I think, anyways. All right. But I give this Survivor. All right, Dan, you're number 6.
My number 6 is Rob Zombie's Halloween.
I forgot.
Wow.
Wow.
That is my highest jump of all the movies. I originally had that down in like, I think below 10, my previous rankings. But getting to watch all these again, like in succession kind of thing. I really appreciated this movie a lot. Like I said, the direction change, like a lot of the things, like it just being super, super violent. This is the most intimidating, like just mean-spirited Michael. Like I enjoyed just it being balls to the wall. Like I liked the ending chase scene.
Yeah.
Through the Myers house and him breaking through the walls and the drywall and all that. And the scene in the empty pool and the false finish where she's like, that classic iconic line, was that the boogeyman? And then he just busts through like you think it's over. And then there's another 10 minutes that goes in.
Right.
Like I love the third act of that movie.
I agree with you. The third act of that movie is the best part of that movie. Like, just give me Michael Myers.
Going back to like what you were saying earlier with the scene with Laurie's step parents getting like murdered.
Yeah.
Like, it's like right there.
Right.
That scene is where things really pick up.
Yeah, I agree.
I also liked Sherry Moon Zombie in this one as a grieving mother who lost her significant other, her daughter, and her son being in a mental institution, and just her being so grief-stricken and trying to put on this best face for her son. Yeah. And then she witnesses him like kill an orderly or something, and it just breaks her. Yeah. And in the next scene she ends her, takes her life. Like I don't know, like very, very heavy stuff. But done well. Yeah.
I think Rob Zombie knows what his thing is, and he's good at his thing, you know? So, like, I hear what you're saying. I think he does really good. You know what? And something we didn't talk about, the music is really good in Rob Zombie's one.
Yeah.
I like how he uses, like, Love Hurts.
He also used Rush.
Yeah, Rush. Yeah,
Don't Fear the Reaper.
Don't Fear the Reaper. He brought that back from 70.
And they brought it back in Ends, too.
Yeah, you're right.
Which one did they use Moody Blues a lot in? Was it? No, that was the second one, Halloween.
I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, so I agree with you. What do you give it for a ranking, though?
Killer.
Wow.
My first Killer ranking.
Wow, first Killer.
Definitely a must watch for me. I encourage people to watch that one.
Wow.
Yeah, well.
Bearclaw, you're number 6.
My number 6 is going to be Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Oh.
My number 6 is going to be Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I thought that in spite of the things that the timeline was a little bit fuzzy, I thought that could be a pro or a con depending on what you're looking at. I thought the horse and the woman was very creepy, and even if it all did happen in Laurie's head as she sat in the asylum, that would be a creepy angle. They probably should have played that. There's a lot of questions it doesn't answer, but I don't know that it doesn't answer any of the essential questions. You've got some gnarly and terrifying scenes. Like, this is, I'm going to be honest with you, this one is a victim. I would not recommend this one to anybody just because of the brutality of it, and how Michael is very much in this movie a supernatural being, right, who is very difficult to do anything to, on top of being a massive presence and physically ultra imposing. But he is terror incarnate in this movie. He is driven by unknown forces, and he is between the coroners, and he is just a psychopath in every stretch of the imagination. The scenes, even the dream scene is very cool, where maybe it was just a dream in a dream, but I mean the security guard station at the hospital when Laurie gets there, and the kindly security guard is kind of like, oh, it's all gonna be okay, and there's like that feeling of safety, but you know that Michael is right out there and that it's not gonna be okay, and that this Michael isn't scared of bursting through walls or nothing, unstoppable, unstoppable terror that's going to reach you and is going to get there. And that is what Halloween is about, unstoppableness, and that psychopathic kind of just, he is very much the shape in this movie. He's very much, yes, there's the kind of undertone, but it's very hard to determine what's driving him. Well, he does want to kill Laurie as being part of his sister, or being a sister, but like he's just a monster, and for that I think that this is my number 6. But it is a victim because I don't know. Even for me, there was no fun in this movie, and Loomis is awful in this. Truly despicable individual in this movie. So
is this like a guilty pleasure ranking for you? Like,
I think it was good as a Halloween movie. I didn't think it was like the best movie ever, and like it was a little too much for me. What?
There are no survivors. They're either just victims or they're just
everyone's a victim in that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. It's just bleak, and I mean, there's no fun to it whatsoever.
Did you guys see the producer's cut of this one at all? Where he talks. He said die, right?
Who does?
Michael Myers.
He tells Loomis to die before he kills him.
Before he kills him.
See that? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like Michael wouldn't speak.
Right.
But
speaking, all of the grunting in his killing was very distracting throughout all of the Halloween movies and
in Zombies World. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to imagine that it would be grunting if realism and definitely zombies going to erring on the side of realism. There's going to be like.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you're right. It did. You're right, though. Like, it's just a different Michael Myers at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think it's even less Michael Myers, and it's more just the shape,
right,
in this movie.
Sherry Moon Zombie.
Yeah, the shape.
Sherry Moon Zombie.
Yeah. I mean, she was very much kind of shoehorned into the movie, right. But
he had to get a part for his wife.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but
all right, Logan, number 6. What do you got?
So, I will say this is a good movie.
Wow,
this is a very good movie.
All right,
this is like
can't be that good if it's a number 6.
It had the potential to be a good movie.
All right.
What
do we got?
But Halloween 4 is number 6.
Okay.
So the reason I said this is because they had the right idea.
Mm-hmm.
They had the right idea of bringing in a whole new kind of perspective to this new kind of idea of Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Without Laurie Strode, without the thing that is kind of like, as we know, like Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, like that's a whole thing. And now bringing in a new character, her daughter, to kind of be like this kind of like, I love in horror movies where you kind of have a protagonist that's kind of trapped in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are unable to escape the thing that is chasing them.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, that's what they brought out. They brought in a little girl because of how like young she is. She really isn't like thinking things out clearly as much.
Mm-hmm.
So given the fact that is like happening during this movie, Michael Myers is like an awesome, like, this is like a new Michael Myers kind of, because in the original, like, he's kind of like,
you're right,
slow and kind of like,
this kind of starts his almost supernatural.
This starts the supernatural arc, but it's a very cold supernatural. It's very like, it's taking its time, but it's still unstoppable.
Right.
And I think that's why I like this movie so much. But the problem I have with this movie is because you have a little girl being the protagonist, not a lot of great dialogue being delivered, and not a lot of great like overall like atmosphere of it as much as like I was hoping it would be.
Yeah.
I think Rachel was a great character, kind of to
Well, I
help her
think
sister
right.
out.
I think that's why they have Rachel in this movie.
And
to
Loomis
kinda-
carried. Loomis carried this movie.
Loomis
on his
is
back.
great.
Yeah, Loomis back must have hurt after this movie.
Loomis-
Because Rachel is forgettable.
Loomis
Rachel,
was a real one for this one because he completely brought his A game in this one, completely carrying this entire project on his back and bringing his whole A game, even though he was crippled. He was walking slowly.
He had,
was
he had
walking
makeup on in
slow.
this movie.
He had a cane.
He was walking slower than Michael Myers.
I mean, he did walk out of a kiln that would have burned anybody else to like
Still.
cremated anybody else, but he survived with Michael somehow.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe he is also supernatural. But I would say this movie is a I think it would be Survivor, but I think it's nearing Killer.
Wow.
I think it's almost there, but it just needs a little bit more pizzazz. It needs a little bit more showmanship and kind of give it more like atmospherical. Maybe it's just the mask. But like I think it just needed a little bit more.
Well, it's one of those movies that, you know, I don't know, for me, I think The Mask, it definitely is a big detractor and you know, kind of what takes away, but, you know, what can you do? They had to go with what they had. William Shatner was suing them. I
What a
believe.
jerk.
Was a litigious individual.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine that?
Like,
Well,
who gives a damn
Do you know
about
what do you guys
Shatner?
know what the mask was based off of for the original Halloween? Like why it's white and everything like that?
They took away, like, they wanted to take away all the features in it. So it's supposed to be the shape, right?
There's a movie that's that's based off of, which is all about this like French plastic surgeon, and it's one of the inspirations for the movie. It's like I forget what it is. It's like The Girl with No Face or something like that. But it's all about this French plastic surgeon whose daughter doesn't have a face, so he's abducting women to steal their faces for his daughter. But in the entire movie, his daughter is wearing just like a plain white mask.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of like, and that's one of the things they've said is one of the inspirations for Michael Myers' mask, because she was wearing this plain white mask because her face was all like, was not there supposedly.
Right.
And like that blankness and that void is what Carpenter wanted to capture in the shape.
And that's, yeah, and I think it's iconic, you know?
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is.
you know?
It's not one that you can just go pick up at your local hardware store where you supposedly got
With some
it.
knives and rope.
And it's not a skeleton, a pumpkin, or a witch, which was apparently being widely distributed via Cochrane's
Shamrock.
Shamrock Entertainments or whatever.
Well, guys, we're at the top 5.
Top 5.
Number 5 for me, Halloween 2, 1981. I like this movie. I used to watch this right after Halloween 1978 all the time. And I actually, it's funny because I heard another podcast talk about where they combined the VHSs to make them like one, thing. I actually bought a bootleg of that years ago on VHS where somebody edited it perfectly for 1978 into 1981 Halloween 2. The opening, again, I love the opening. I love Mrs. Elrod, the scene where he goes in, he takes the knife out of the kitchen and we see him from the living room in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I love those scenes where he's just that, like you said, that kind of void like that.
The things that
Yeah,
Halloween
but what is he
Kills
doing?
tried to do that movie does better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Halloween Kills was doing an impression of that movie because she was wearing the exact same pink robe in Halloween Kills as she is in the scene you're describing.
Yeah, you're right.
So there's a lot of subtle homages, but the thing about it is, why was he even in that house? Why did he kill that housewife?
What were you talking about in
Halloween 2?
He didn't kill
2.
the housewife. He killed some random girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why did he kill that?
You're right.
girl?
You're right. I
He's
think
Michael Myers.
what I read was they wanted to do reshoots with more killing.
Yeah, with
stuff,
more killing and stuff.
But
yeah.
I think So to me,
Does what he
this
wants.
is what, spoiler, this is what one of the things I really love about the 2018 Halloween movie. And this is where I would have went on this movie. Instead of going into the hospital to go after Laurie, I would have had him continue on going house to house, you know. And so I think this kind of makes it scary because he could, like, you know, and she heard on the radio, like, escaped mental patient and, you know, all this stuff. And she could hear this, and she was on the phone and she goes, oh, I hear the sirens. All that's scary, you know, and then him popping up, scary. When you get him in the hospital, this deserted hospital.
Yeah,
like,
this deserted hospital, which, like, the thing that's jarring for me about two is if that hospital started as like a lively, like vibrant place. Like, if you go to a hospital, it's not like nothing, especially after so many people have been slaughtered or injured throughout the town.
Right.
Like, it's not like a calm,
Well, I mean, only 4 people are really.
Have you been in a hospital on third shift?
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it is abandoned like that, but, like, I have not. But
plus, it's a small town. I mean, how many small towns have
it's got
hospitals?
and a university and
In an airport.
I
and
an
an
hospital.
airport. Yeah.
Well, I
Small.
mean, you're right. I mean, some of the great things, the hot tub scene.
The hot tub
amazing.
scene was great.
I like the, you know, obviously her face. Some of the gore is great. You know, Bud is kind of a dick.
But,
and,
yeah,
Bud's
Bud's a
my favorite
fun
side.
character.
he's a fun character. You're right. You know, and there's some great stalking scenes. You know, to me, I think, and the ending where he gets set on fire. I don't think I didn't like the scene where she shoots both his eyes. I don't think that should have
shoots
happened.
both of his eyes out.
Yeah,
but-
that shouldn't have happened.
Good shot.
Right.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have happened.
All of a sudden, she's a great shot, but in the first one, she was like blubbering around like the woman out of The Shining,
Right.
Kinda
And back to the point before,
Needed dilaudid drip.
she's like, you know, she really doesn't have many lines. This is Jamie Lee Curtis. Give her some lines. Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing here? Like, I don't know. It seemed a lot of it's boring to me too. Like, I like some of the cat and mouse stuff with the security guard. Like, that was fun.
Yeah.
You know, but overall, I mean, this is why it's 5. I think it's just a little boring for me, but actually, you know, I'm gonna rate this one killer because I can recommend this, and like, I will rewatch this if it's on TV or, you know, whatever. And I do still like the nostalgia thing of going from the original to this, so I'm gonna rate it killer. All right, Dan, number 5.
My number 5, IFAB 5, starting at number 5, is Halloween Ends.
Wow, making your top 5.
I absolutely love Halloween Ends.
Wow.
It's to me, it is one of those, like, you either love it or you hate it.
Right.
There's no in between.
You're right.
I love all of the kills in that movie. I think they're better than any of the kills in Halloween Kills. I feel like they're focused. They're based on revenge, which I think is awesome. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love the whole, like, Michael and Corey dynamic when they tag team the doctor and the assistant.
Yeah, I like that. I
around
like
it.
that scene.
That
yeah.
was such a cool scene.
Michael Myers taking a mentor for the
Killing-
a journeyship program,
Killing
right?
killing all of those band members, especially Corey taking the blowtorch to that guy's mouth.
Oh, yeah.
That was
That's-
intense.
Oh, beautiful.
That was intense.
This one, to me, like, you know, I think the reason why a lot of people hate this one is because you guys are right. This isn't about Michael Myers. This is about the shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're right.
This is about
The shape. That's a good way to look at it. The shape
it's
movie.
about what the shape does once a body becomes old and just beat up. Like, where does evil go? Where does it doesn't just die. Evil
Right.
doesn't die. It just,
Evil dies tonight.
Apparently
doesn't
not.
happen. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I thought, like, it, like you guys said, this would have been, like, easily in my top 3 if they went all the way with Corey as the
Yeah.
killer.
I really like that scarecrow mask too. He was
Yeah.
like, I thought that was pretty scary.
I thought that was a nice touch too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I love this. Like, I know it's not in the same vein as you know, your traditional Halloween movies. I And like I guess I would argue that like for me it's kind of like for those who like the Halloween 3 movie where it's an Halloween adjacent movie.
Right.
This is my Halloween adjacent movie that I appreciate and love.
Do you think this has rewatchability? Like
for me, it is.
Yeah.
I like.
It was more entertaining to rewatch than
Yeah.
some of the other ones were. That's for sure.
Yeah. Logan's not so sure.
I mean, I got like 5 minutes into it and I was like, yeah.
Wow. Dan, where's this rank for you?
Oh, it's killer.
Killer. All right.
All right.
Bearclaw, number 5.
Number 5, Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's top 5 movie because it is Halloween at its very essence. It's brutal. It's a victim. I don't think I would recommend this to anybody because it's too brutal for me. I mean, just
Would you rewatch this? Like,
I'm not if I had a choice, to be honest with you. But that's part of the terror, you know. It does inspire fear. Like, I mean, how crazy is it when Michael Myers at the age 10 decides it's time to go off his whole family, like, and just goes about it in a methodical, like, psychopath kind of way. And, you know, and Laurie is the only one, or Boo, you know, is the only one who doesn't get killed. And you know, it kind of, while Laurie Strode is still Michael Myers' sister, which I feel is unnecessary, but he kept that in there. And you know what? It makes sense why Michael Myers would have, like, the picture of her and why he would be tracking her down. So there is, unlike Halloween 2, which it's like, okay, Laurie's your sister, so why are you tracking her down? There's actually kind of like a reason why he's doing it. Like, he's brutal, he's invincible, he's tough. None of the stuff that he takes on is extra human, really. I mean, in 2 is when he really starts, you know, coming back from the dead and all kinds of other stuff. But like in this movie, it's very straightforward what's happening, to its detriment too, because it's not fun movie. It's not like it's zero fun, but it does build character. There's cool, like, the trucker knife fight scene, like people fighting back against Michael. Like, not everybody's just a sheep in the movie, but like it doesn't do them much well, or it doesn't do them very much. But I mean, like, when he gets when he gets the trucker's outfit there, it's like this really, like, you know, you see the trucker in the bathroom and it's a very tense scene and it's terrifying. And if you were just in that stall, it would be a terrifying situation. There's not a lot you could do against the Michael Myers character. And I mean,
especially after taking a shit from an what was he on, an enchalupa?
Yeah, enchilada or something.
Man, I'm taking a shit in it.
That really sounds like it would be in like Rob Zombie's wheelhouse if there was just another dude just in this next stall over taking a dump.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, that was a missed opportunity, Mr. Zombie.
I like the way it was shot too, with the camera, you know, going back and forth.
I mean, it was definitely Rob Zombie, and everything Rob Zombie touches, you know, I have feelings about, good, bad, or otherwise. But it is number 5, and I think it belongs to be part of the Halloween tradition. Is definitely a darker look at Michael and a darker look at things, and Loomis is not the hero that we need in this movie. He's not the best character, but you know,
he still hasn't gone full.
He hasn't gone thing. And you know, I want to share a line because this is one of my favorites, because Michael Myers does talk in this movie a little bit, but I feel he talks in an appropriate way when he's like age 10, because even Loomis says he hasn't spoken since age 15, but he says, Michael Myers crying, "I want to go home." Dr. Samuel Loomis: "You can't go home." Michael Myers, age 10, "Why?" Dr. Samuel: "Because you've done terrible things." And he has, and it's very, that line hits hard in that movie.
And it's like he disassociates from all of it.
Yeah. So
true. It does kind of show, like, at a young age, him kind of not accepting, but just like,
you
know, he has done bad things, and Right.
Yeah, it's just and it gives more insight into the shape sometimes than it does Michael, because Michael is almost a non-character, even though he speaks and he's almost more of a non-character in this movie, which is what I find awesome about it. So it's a victim movie. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but I think it's the central Halloween movie, and it's definitely top 5 for me.
Logan, year 5.
Well, I think this one is definitely, like, you two would definitely disagree with me, but, like, based on entertainment wise, how number 5 is H2O.
Okay.
Because
That's good.
I think H2O was a nice approach to the Halloween series as a whole, because I was kind of getting tired of the whole, like, after 4 and 5, I was kind of getting this sour taste in my mouth.
Started becoming formulaic.
Yeah, it started becoming more like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have the same thing for this one. It's kind of just going back with Michael. But when you bring in a whole other, like, appeal to it by giving it a whole, like, nuanced kind of, like, taste to it with bringing in a whole college and then bringing in a whole thing. Lori actually felt important in this one. In Halloween 1, she was just a babysitter. In Halloween 2, she was just amputated. Like, she was basically doing nothing the entire movie. But this one, she actually felt important. Like, she was a mother. She had a life. And I think, like, she kind of was, like, important to the entire plot line.
Right.
And I don't think, like, they gave her enough to work with, like in the other ones. But in this one, like, she kind of felt like, you know, like, she wasn't over Michael, but she had this, like, anger towards him and still had, like, that whole, like she wanted to keep everything in her life safe from this whole, like, experience.
She seemed like the Laurie Strode from the first movie.
Yeah.
She seemed like the Laurie Strode from the first movie who had grown up.
Right.
It's very contiguous. It feels like that character was on the trajectory from the first movie to become the Laurie that we see in H2O.
The music, the atmosphere, just the overall, like, appeal of it was just on a whole other level. And I think I was kind of just, like, entranced into this movie where I was like, I cared about every single one of the characters. Like, I was kind of like
character development, like Bearclaw said before.
Like,
you know?
I think just, like, everyone who, like, died in the movie was kind of like, I felt sad for, you know? Like, I didn't want them to kind of go, and some of them, I didn't want them to kind of, like, die in that way, you know? Like, I didn't want them to go out.
Well, in fairness, not many characters died.
Yeah.
But the most brutal one was it was like a shaft where it dropped on her leg. And that was such a good kill. And I think that was a perfect way to go out. But like, nonetheless, I will say, H2O, very high on my list. I would rewatch it.
Okay, so what's your rating for it?
I would say it's a killer.
Killer, wow.
I think it's my first killer because I think I just really enjoyed this movie, and I think it's just a good watch.
I like how we're starting to get into the killer, you know, ranking, except for Bearclaw, who has yet to give us one killer.
He has yet to give us a survivor.
No, I've given a couple survivors.
They're mixed in.
Season of the Witch is a survivor. Resurrection's a survivor. Halloween's 5 is a survivor. The rest are victims, though.
Wow. All right, number 4. Well, this was pretty low on a lot of people's lists, and I was a little sad.
Well, I think we know what's coming. It's Halloween fucks time.
Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, number 6.
How in the hell did it make it this far? Let's find out.
Listen, this is one of my favorites because, number 1, it's the first one I saw, like I said before. But to me, this is my favorite Michael Myers. I love the scenes where he's in the house, again, in the background, the shape, he's blending in. You know, I love the scenes where they're looking across the street, Kara and Tommy Doyle, or not, at Tommy Doyle's house, but you can see Michael walking across the street. You know, those scenes are awesome. My favorite scenes in the movie are when Tim and his girlfriend there just, finish their business, and Kara calls.
Oh, yeah.
And Tim's girlfriend picks up the phone, and she's like, "Oh, I can see you," and she's looking through Tommy Doyle's telescope, which just happens to be pointing in the bedroom, and sees
He's a creep.
sees Michael Myers come in and kill her. And then she looks down, and there's her son walking across the street, and then she's got to walk into that house. I mean, that is like one of the most
would've left that
terrifying.
kid.
I know, like, forget you. You're on your
Screw
own.
you. Like, I'll have another kid.
I mean, it was just.
You better hope
and,
your
like,
dad doesn't have that
I'll go save you.
mentality.
Look, I don't know what the hell would possess me to, like, go into a house. I mean, he was being possessed, but still.
And like you said, the bad character, John Strode, he's a dick. We're all supposed to hate him. I love how he kind of teases, like, oh, it must be the boogeyman when the lights go off. And he gets his comeuppance. It has one of my favorite characters, Barry Sims, the DJ. I bet you wear crotchless panties and bark like a dog. Oh my God, he's terrible. And
Didn't they try to get Howard Stern?
They tried to get Howard Stern, yes. I can't imagine how he would do that, and it's kind of like a nostalgia piece in the way it's like pure 90s, you know.
Like I said, that like we hate PC. Like
Right.
that PC, like I'm gonna be vulgar for the sake of being vulgar kind of thing.
And, and to all your points on it, the plot's terrible. I can't get into the plot. But,
Yeah.
like Michael Myers, just some of the killings, it was, in my opinion, just some of his best work as the character. I felt like we got, some of the stuff.
He isn't a chef. He's a literal killer. You're
Well,
making
he's
him
got
out
the
to be-
fresh, what was it? The
Fennel.
Fennel, yeah.
He's an artist.
This, for me, is a killer. Yep, you heard it first.
I can't agree with that.
13 on my list.
Yeah.
You guys are all wrong.
You got that. You got that.
Yuck your yum.
You got the nostalgia glasses on.
You're young.
All right, Dan, number 4.
My number 4 is Halloween 4.
Wow.
And,
That's good.
Return of Michael Myers.
Yep.
I like this one.
What happened in it again?
They pretty much introduced a new character named Jamie Lloyd, who happens to be the daughter of Laurie Strode.
Let's explain that for the 15th time for the viewers.
Well, he asked what happened in it.
Oh, yeah. I think he was being
But like,
rhetorical.
I really like this movie. I like the town people. Like, you guys talk about character development. What is going on in this film is 100% pure character development. You have the most competent police force in the entire thing. You have a competent community. Everyone rallies together at the end to stop this Michael Myers. No one's oblivious to him
Right,
or his
right.
existence. Like, they're like, this shit's happening again. We're gonna nip it in the bud.
Right.
Like, that is, like, to me, like, one of the cooler parts of it is how the community, everybody rallies together to stop Michael Myers at the end of the movie.
I like how they listen to Loomis. Like,
Yeah.
They
They're like, oh, no,
finally-
yeah. No, you're right.
like
yeah.
this isn't just some crazy guy.
Yeah, no.
But, like, negatives, like the mask, the continuity issues from 2 to 4, and then kind of like what Bearclaw was saying earlier, like, it is a very uneventful movie until the end, where you get that big reveal with Jamie ends up being the personification of Michael at the end. But I enjoy this movie overall. Like, it doesn't, for all the stuff it does to trample over 2, it's serviceable. It's
Fun, I think, right?
it's fun. I give it a what's that? Survivor.
All right. Bearclaw.
Number 4. This is one's like when we're getting into number 4, you're getting movies that brought a smile to my face. You're bringing movies that got me excited. You're
All
bringing
right.
we're talking about movies that I enjoyed watching.
All right.
And I'll be honest, not all of these Halloween movies have been a joy for me. Some of them have been a slog, and other ones have been difficult. But Halloween Kills for my number 4.
Whoa.
It's got an energy to it. It's got a Evil dies tonight. And I know they say that a lot, and I know there's a lot of people, 24 times they say it, and it kind of runs through the movie. But you know what? Even though that is goofy, I feel like it works because you can feel that these townspeople have been driven by this evil, and you see his effect. Now, I don't think it's as effective that they chase down that guy in the hospital and then he I don't really know. I don't even think that they could have gotten rid of that, and I think that was very tangential, and I don't know how much really, I mean, it's trying to make it look like, oh, well, the crowd is being turned evil, but I don't even know that it's that effective at that. But just the raw emotional, reaction of evil dies tonight. We're going to get him. And, the firefighter scene, how cool is that? Michael Myers, and I mean, you expect he's going to be burning down in the house where Laurie trapped him. And, she's screaming, don't put out the fire. But they're going to go and they're going to try and go in there. And he comes up and he's got that, it's like it's got a name to it, like a Holzman tool or something like that firefighters use to pry open stuff, and he just does that, like, just unstoppable Michael Myers. And you're right, Kevin, you're very astute when you said that there really is two storylines, but I think that's a good thing because it shows Michael Myers and it shows his effect and how it's like taking these people and they turn into a vicious mob, which is probably what would happen. And, they beat the snot out of him in the end. I'm not such a huge fan of the ending where he manages to find his way out. I think I think that could have gone in a different direction. But overall, like, just the energy of it, like, who doesn't want to be part of that mob that goes to try and, like, Michael Myers is dangerous, but you know what? We're together. We're a town. We're Haddonfield. Right. Tommy is played really good.
What weapon would you choose? The iron?
I don't know.
The bat.
Yeah, I would choose something that would
Huckleberry.
I would choose some type of distance weapon or something like that. Yeah, something that
Allison took that damn shotgun, man.
Yeah, but like I just think that it's that movie showed a different side of things, but it was still very Halloween. Still had Michael Myers doing his Michael Myers thing in it, and some good kills, and the mob beatdown was a cool scene. So Halloween Kills is my number 4, and that one I do say is killer because evil dies tonight.
Dang, his first killer. All right, Logan. What do you have? Number 4.
Evil dies tonight. Halloween Kills.
Wow. You guys are buddies.
So, at first,
this was lower on your list.
This was one of the lowest ones.
Wow.
It was right. I think it was around number 8, I would say.
Which is what we had.
Mm-hmm.
But I rewatched it just a couple days ago. And I was so entertained.
Yeah.
Every single character that came onto the screen, I loved. Because I felt compassion towards them. I felt empathy for their struggle that they had to go through this entire movie, including the other movies that have happened before. And I think this just brought it all back into the big screen. I think it just brought it all, like, right into the people's face. Like, because I think what they needed to do, which a lot of people don't agree with, is to get rid of Laurie. Okay? We've already seen Laurie versus Michael. 3 times we've seen Michael versus Laurie.
So you think this was good because it kind of separated Laurie and Michael a little bit.
Laurie needed to be separated from Michael so that the others could survive.
Right. Karen's
character, protecting her mother, connected them more and actually felt like her death was more of a part of this movie than it was before. Like, because I don't think Karen really fit into the character scheme until the end of the movie. But in this one, she was more like, she wanted to protect what she had.
Right. You're right. She did feel more connected to Laurie, especially in this movie versus the first.
And I think Allison was a badass in this movie. Allison was the best part of this movie, and there is no lie about that. She is the best part of this movie.
Over Michael Myers.
Over Michael Myers. Wow. Because she actually felt like an actual character. Like, she is pissed
She went through
off.
an arc. She started off in one way, and she ended another way.
She's on a redemption arc, and she went after the monster. Everyone else is either, like, they're gonna do whatever they want, like, whatever. Allison has a plan. She's thought it out, and she actually goes to fight him because she is so mad she doesn't even care. Like, she is just driven to the point where
Reckless
she will
abandon.
go.
Yeah.
Reckless abandonment. And I think the kills, the atmosphere, everything that was tied in together through these two storylines with... I really liked Tommy Doyle. Tommy
Yeah, I liked
Doyle.
him,
yeah.
I like his kind of like... There was a great line, this is my line for the movie, is when he's in the hospital with Laurie Strode, and he goes, "You protected me all those years ago. Tonight I protect you."
Yeah.
Exactly. That gave me chills.
And
that was
I was heartbroken by that.
Yeah.
And for him to not do that, for him to not succeed, for him to fail at that is just so heartbreaking
Yeah.
because
I
he
guess
was
you're right.
so driven to the point that he was afraid on that Halloween night in 1978. But in this one, he was driven to the point where he was getting angry. Reckless abandonment was the entire plot of this mob. And I think just every character had their own arc in this movie. Every character had their kind of motivation, their goal, and every character kind of felt nuanced and appreciated in this movie. But unfortunately, Michael Myers succeeds again because he obviously just destroys
He's
the
the
entire
unstoppable
town.
force.
Yeah.
And every main character that came from that Halloween movie, gone within a blink of an eye. And the only people that remain are Strode, Hawkins, Allison, and Lindsay.
And Sheriff Barker.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
What do you rate this one? What do you got?
Killer. If there was a higher, I'd put it, but like, this is such a
Dang.
good movie.
Wow, I'm surprised this isn't one on your list.
It's such a good movie, but
It really
there's
is.
better movies than it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Top 3. Here we go.
Yeah.
Number 3, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I think for me, this could have been 1 or 2 if the mask was right. I think it's fun. I love the opening credits scene with the fall scenery into the ambulance. I love the hospital opening. You know, we get the kind of return of Michael Myers pretty much, like right at the beginning.
Well, it is called The Return of Michael Myers.
Introducing him. We don't waste time though, you know, like we're just right into it, you know. I think that Loomis is awesome in this movie. He is great. Like his lines, he sells Michael Myers, you know, like, you know, he's talking to what's his name? It's not Brackett. Meeker.
Yeah.
He's like, our village station in flames. I tell you, Michael Myers is here in this house or in this town, you know, and he's really selling Michael Myers. And I love how Meeker's like, okay, let's do this, you know, and like I said, like they believe him. You know, I think the scenes where they lock themselves in Meeker's house are like my favorite scenes. You know, I love, you know, the scene where the deputy's rocking in the chair and he thinks he hears something and then turns away. And then we as the audience see Michael Myers' masks in the background, you know, and just that whole sequence of, you know, Michael going after them in the house. I thought that was great. You know, top 3, I got to give this a killer. You know, again, this would have been higher, I think, if the mask was right, but...
Yeah, you kind of, to go back to that movie in my previous ranking, the one thing I forgot to mention was, like, I kind of wish they kept bandaged.
Yes, yeah, I liked that.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Yeah,
that was
I liked
pretty.
that look, where he's just bandaged up. You're right. That would have been cool. All right, Dan, number 3. Oh, I get mine a killer, by the way. I don't know if I said that, but yeah.
All right, my number 3 is Halloween 2018.
Wow.
Wow.
That is, I think it's so awesome how they retconned, you know, 2 and beyond.
I mean, I'll skip ahead here too. 2018 is number 3 on my list as well.
Wow.
So I'll tag team this one with you because 2018 is such a fantastic movie. I mean, the journalists that show up that are just, you know, some scumbag podcasters. I mean, and you know, they're trying to, and all of the retconning that this movie does, the appropriate retconning that this movie does. and then it's just the line that I've got for this movie is Laurie Strode, stay here, I've got to finish this. Laurie Strode being this outside weirdo. I feel like that's the direction she would have, if she didn't go the H2O way, I feel like she would have gone this way. And like the teaching her daughter all this stuff, and like being prepared for when Michael comes back, because in this timeline, his body just disappeared like at the end of the first one, and so now they never know when he's going to come back. He's kind of not really, like, everybody's kind of forgotten about him, or they've moved on with their lives and everything. And then but Laurie hasn't, and Laurie hasn't forgotten, and her daughter is totally, you're the worst, Mom, but she's like, I'm trying to prepare you. It's kind of like every parent's thing where they're trying to prepare their children for the dangers that they cannot see or cannot understand in the world. And like, it's such a cool movie.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you mentioned. I like the character development. I like Allison, her boyfriend and her boyfriend's best friend dynamic. My favorite kill is when when the friend gets killed there.
Gets put on the fence. That's so gnarly.
I love even
but
before
appropriate.
that, where like the motion light thing.
Yeah.
And you see him, and then lights go off.
Yeah.
And he's closer.
Why is he talking to him too? He's like,
'Cause he's
man, I thought he
drunk.
really liked it.
Yeah.
Liked me. Like,
He thinks that it's just this
The neighbor.
farmer, the
Yeah.
neighbor or something.
I think it's Mr. Elrod. I think they kind of have a. I don't know. Yeah.
But this is definitely the most badass Laurie Strode we get.
oh yeah.
Just doomsday prepper Laurie, and like I love at the end where they're like, this isn't a safe place, this is like a trap or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she feigns.
I
like,
love gotcha.
feigns like being afraid
that
to
was
shoot her.
sick.
Shoots him in the face.
And she did that in Kills too.
Yeah.
She brought that back.
I like, though, it kind of sold the audience, like, because we were all like, oh my god, like, what is she doing? Like, come on, you gotta do something. And then all of a sudden it was like,
sold me.
bam.
Yep.
And then you got Laurie kind of in this reverse role where she's kind of like the Michael Myers, where she's like in the background and like Haddonfield, like waiting outside.
You're right, they do reverse roles, and that becomes later on too, where she's stalking him in the house.
She even sneaks into her own daughter's house, and she's like, "Gotcha."
You're right. Yeah.
And how cool is that when she's clearing the rooms and then shutting them? Like this whole place was designed for like, if you come in here, there's gonna be, I'm gonna take away tools from you, Michael. I'm gonna take away your ability to sneak up on me in certain situations. And
So
what do you guys have for ratings on this?
it's a killer, and the one thing my critique of it is they got rid of Michael being related to Laurie. I think it untethers him, and it makes it a bit of an unknown. Like, what's his motive?
So you're saying that's a good thing, right? Or you're saying
that's
it's a bad thing?
That's my critique against it.
I would say that's the good thing about it, is it totally forgets about two. And I also have it as a killer. Definitely essential.
Logan, number 3.
So originally I had this movie be my number 2, but
You keep switching your order up here.
well, I did my list a little bit later because I wanted to get it all perfectly matched.
Right.
And so my number 3 is Halloween 2.
1981 Halloween 2.
Yep.
All right.
I already said my Rob Zombie. That's down there in the trash where it belongs. But Halloween 2 is such a good movie because it completely brings up this idea that Laurie Strode can't escape Michael Myers. Michael Myers is an unstoppable, like, anomaly that is just keeps on coming after her.
That's a good way to think. And then, like, the only thing that stops it is Loomis blowing the thing up.
And Loomis goes to he has no other plans because now he knows that Michael will do whatever it takes, because after learning that he is related to his sister and has this whole other idea for her, he knows that the only way to stop Michael Myers is by taking himself out with him.
Mm-hmm.
He like plans this whole last resort kind of way, and it makes the movie feel like it's its last movie, you know? Like, it feels like it's kind of its own, like, these two are kind of a duet, you know? Like, we had the Rob Zombie duets. This is its duet.
Right.
And it completely just carries off of it, and it makes it feel so much better because I don't want a time jump. I don't want some stupid shenanigans going on. I love that it starts off with Michael Myers just doing exactly what he did in the first one. Of, like, him just circling town and waiting for him to strike. And the hospital scenes of him killing people off one by one is so phenomenally, like, well-paced, well-executed, and everything looks so much better than, like, I hate to say it, but Halloween 1, the 1978 one, there was slow maneuvering, but, it was good. But, like, I think with Halloween 2, it was, like, it was more like they went off. They went off with a bang, and they kind of tried to tell a story.
Right. Yeah, they tried to tell a story. You're right, and it had like the ending. I agree with you. Like, it felt like a full story.
It felt like a full story. Like, it had a full ending. Like, it was kind of like it was fulfilling. Like, at the end, I was like, okay, this was a great movie. And I think just because of that, like, it's a killer, and it's number 3.
What makes me sad about Halloween 2 is what it could have been and wasn't.
Yeah.
And you read, and especially going back to that book, Taking Shape, you read about some of the ideas that weren't implemented. You read about the continuity problems, and you see that there is that in the wreckage of 2. And I know I'm not that it's not popular that it is wreckage, but in the wreckage that is 2, there was so many opportunities for a cooler version of that movie, because the movie has merit, but there is such a cooler version of that movie that exists in the world.
Well, here's a perfect segue into my number 2 on the ranking. Is the cooler segue, or the cooler second film, 2018 Halloween, because to me now I actually prefer watching 1978 into 2018.
Yeah.
You know, I love at the beginning of this movie how they make you feel tense with kind of the ticking clock. They're in the mental institution, and you hear talking in the background. You feel kind of disoriented. And it's almost like you get that feeling from the original of, like, you know, something's wrong here. Something's off. You know, I love the scene of trying to have him say something with a mask. I love the mask coming out and stuff changing. I mean, just so many things in this movie are great. And this is my preferred sequel to the original. I got to be honest. The best thing in this movie is the tracking shot. The all-in-the-one where he goes on the street, bumps into kids. We follow him into the house. He kills the lady with the hammer, right? Goes by the baby and then brings, you know, it's just, and then he goes through the house, takes the knife to that woman. I mean, it's amazing. Just like, this is what is scary, and this is the original concept. Just going through a town, you know, house to house, in the closet, another scary trope. There's something in my closet. Like, oh, there's nothing in there. Open it up, he's in there.
Oh yeah,
so good. And even though it's in the trailer, it's still
it's still
scary.
Good. Yeah,
That little kid is hilarious.
Yeah,
He's so
hilarious.
funny. He's so
I've heard a
funny.
lot of people say he takes him out of the movie because he's a little too funny and stuff. But
No, he completely carries. Like, he's like, I'm over here chipping my gross ass toenails while you're over here like flirting with your boyfriend and talking about smoking weed. Like,
I love too when he's like, she's like, oh, okay, I'll go up. He's like, no, send Dave. Dave's like, what? Like, you know. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, don't go up there, Dave.
and you know, and I think Laurie, you know, the Dr. Sartain thing almost takes me out.
that is
a big critic. You know what? Yeah.
This could have been my number 1 ranked movie, I'll be honest. Dr. Sartain takes me out. It's the scene where he turns on Hawkins.
puts on Michael's mask.
Don't put on the Myers mask. I get it. But the even bigger thing is like dragging Michael Myers. Like he's got a hurt arm and you're dragging Michael. I don't know. That took me out of it, but I like how they get you right back into it because, and I get it. It was made. They made this so he could bring Michael to Laurie. Like this is how they decided to do it. But I like how they snap you right out of it. He kills Dr. Sartain, stomps on him. I mean, that was amazing. And the ending scene was perfect to me. Like, you know, now Laurie's the hunter, you know, and the trap, like we talked about, and burning him alive, you know. So to me, number 2. And I got it. This is killer. This would have been my number 1, I think. I really almost had a hot take here. I love this movie. All right. Dan, number 2.
All right. Well, I think it's quite obvious process of elimination what my final 2 are, and I'm gonna probably surprise some folks with this, but my number 2 is Halloween 1978.
Whoa!
Holy shit!
And if this was tough, this is not so much like obviously this is my number 2, so this is like my second favorite movie out of the entire franchise, but I look at it as, and obviously Halloween 2/81 is my number 1. Mm-hmm. I look at this as one full completed movie. Yeah. Halloween 78 is 1A. Halloween 2 is 1B. Halloween 78, like I love the creepy. It is so creepy. Like the opening scene where they're driving and it's pitch black and they're going to the hospital, and like
all the mental patients.
You catch just the white robe like through the lights, and just Michael just escaping, and he's on the loose, and and Loomis is the only one that knows where he's going, and he's just this unknown entity that just shows back up in Haddonfield. And he's literally everywhere in every shot. Like he's somewhere in the background. And that to me is like one of the more fun things about this movie is you're so distracted by it. Like you're looking at things in the background, trying to find, and you're not sometimes always paying attention.
Like, yeah, that's the suspense is like throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. And I just, the stalker scenes, like the kills are all right. Like I feel like the reason why I think it's my number 2 is it's a little bit slow moving. You know, the kills are kind of basic. And other than that though, like I really have no complaints. It's a pretty perfect movie.
Wow. Bearclaw, number 2. What do you got? You got a killer?
It's killer. Yeah. It's a classic. It's a classic killer.
Yeah.
Bearclaw, number 2.
Number 2 for me, Halloween H2O.
Whoa.
To me, in my mind, there's one of 2 ways it could have gone. It could have gone H2O or it could have gone 2018. 2 different timelines. But I mean, just how H2O is such a good movie all around. Just you care about the characters, that you get to know the characters. They're well played. They're great actors that are there. There are some gnarly kills, but not too many. And you guys say there's not a whole lot of kills, but there's not a whole lot of kills in the first movie either.
Yeah, right.
It's in line with what Halloween is supposed to be, which is building tension. How tense is it when Michael's car is at the front gate? But nowhere else is he to be seen there. And what is this car doing at this front gate? And you know, and the whole thing with the just going through the drop, the murder scene with the kids who are pretending to be on this class trip but then stay back, and sets up this perfect little gated community for Michael to terrorize them. And yes, it's in California, but honestly, like, if you were Laurie Strode, would you be hanging out near the town where the most like horrific events of your life have taken place.
true.
She takes on a new identity. She tries to go somewhere else, but she can't escape it because that's part of the character development. And she has become more, she's become, this school teacher, which if you remember in the first movie, she was really very into education, very into like being academically achieving. And like, so it's very in line that she would become this headmistress of this gated in community where she feels probably safer in California, far away from this. And I don't like about this movie how it still maintains that she's his sister, but it does give him reason to want to go
To California.
to California and track her down. But I mean, from the very opening shots of this movie all the way through the end of it, it was a fantastic ride, and you developed the characters. You had the foil of Laurie's, which was kind of her like her boyfriend throughout the movie, the counselor there, and like, oh, I'm actually attracted to problem individuals. He should have become like a new Dr. Loomis. I thought there was kind of a wasted opportunity there because he could have been the next Dr. Loomis or something. But I just think H2O is absolutely essential. It's a killer, and I think the 2 and 3 for me are the two different ways that I thought Laurie could have developed.
That's very true. Did you also like the little Creed song in there as well?
Yes, nothing like a little Creed.
All right, Logan, number 2.
So I've been contemplating this for a little bit, like about my number 2. What would be my number 2? And I think these two movies, like obviously you'll find out like when you like look at my list where the last 2 movies are, and this one doesn't come as a surprise to me as much because of how good the other one is. But 1978 Halloween is number 2 for me.
Wow, another hot take.
Because of the slow maneuvering.
Yeah, so it's slow paced, you're saying?
I don't like slow maneuvering when it comes to horror movies. It can be okay when it's tension building and building up that suspense, but I think it's more just like it's taking its time and it's taking too much time to get to it. Like, I think with how it kind of is portraying like these kind of characters, like they're kind of like, they don't know what's happening in the town. They don't know what's happening to them. There's just this guy out there and they're being like, just normal teenagers, but then he starts to, go after them. But it takes so long for them to go after them that it becomes like more of a issue than like an actual like cool thing that happens. Like there's some cool kills. Paul's death is so awesome when he is just stabbed and then just hung up there to dry, and then he takes the sheet to act as the dead
Wait a minute, that
boyfriend.
wasn't Paul, that was Bob.
Bob.
Yeah,
Paul's in
Paul.
the car.
Yeah, no, Paul's the one who isn't Paul. Paul's like Annie. Or,
Annie's
yeah.
thing. Is it?
Okay, let me get this straight. You guys can remember a character that basically means nothing, but instead he's just there to get sex and
I've
then
seen 78 like a million times.
it's Bob.
It's Bob that you're thinking of, but
Bob
I agree with you.
dies, and then he takes the persona as the sheet, and then just kills her with a phone cord. Like that is some maniacal type. Like that
was
is
a great
so
kill.
good.
Yeah.
And she can hear her on the other line.
Right.
Like so good, but
There's a
because
little bit of fun. I like the little fun in it too,
yeah, like he had fun with, like it was just a prank.
Right.
Because he's like he's still young.
Right.
He's only like what 20?
21.
Yeah, he's only 21, so he's in his pimp era. He's kind of acting like a big shot over here. Like, hey, I'm gonna walk into town like it's nobody's business and just kill some teenagers. Like he's very Michael Myers is great. Loomis is great. Loomis is so fantastic in this movie because he knows Michael so well. No one else knows Michael. No one else knows a Michael
He sells
Myers.
the idea of Michael Myers in this movie.
He's like the hype man for
Right.
Michael
He's the
Myers.
hype man for Michael Myers. Like he's over here like Michael Myers is here in town, and they're all like, "Shut up, you old man! Like you're an old like battle axe. Like get out of here."
It's kind of like Halloween is 78 is very much like Frankenstein.
Yeah. They actually make that comparison in one of the movies because they talked about Fate in 78, but but there was one movie where they talked about Frankenstein. They talked about it directly in the context
It was
of
H2O.
Yeah, it was H2O.
It was H2O, yeah, directly in the context of Michael Myers and
Yeah, because
Facing
she was
the
in the
monster.
class,
Facing
and
the
Michelle
monster,
Williams
yeah.
was talking about how she's kind of how
Yeah.
Michael Myers kind of that. But yeah, I think this movie is just really good. I think Michael Myers and Loomis kind of portray like themselves really good. Like they are like them, like in a nutshell. Like I think they don't shy away from that. And I think just the overall atmosphere, the music, it's bone chilling. It's nerving, like it's stressful. It's very like anxiety building.
Right.
But because of the slow maneuvering, plus I didn't feel Laurie in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I did not feel Laurie in this movie. She was kind of just a boring, plain, like, character in this movie until, like, the ending.
I disagree. She was amazing character.
All
throughout
she
this
did
movie.
was just look out the window and see, like, a dude. She was kind of just an introverted, like, kind of, like, shy kind of
yeah.
person.
Yeah, but that was her character. She was like,
But, like, I wanted a character that felt more like she was, like, living in the real world and kind of, like, she knew about Michael Myers and did nothing about it. But, like, I think in, like, real life, if you saw somebody looking at you, like, and you saw them again, like, you'd be like, this is definitely happening to me.
I think too it was like a different time period because you're talking about like when like she was seeing him like behind the bush and then like outside too. Like, you know, this is before, you know, kids were kind of just thinking like, oh, it's pranks, like something.
yeah, or like somebody's just being, yeah, this is pre-internet, pre-anything like that, and like Laurie is like she's like the good, you know, all of her friends tease her for being the quote unquote good girl and like and studying and oh, why do you have all these books and everything? They gave her all
That's why she
guff about
survived.
that.
She's the good girl.
But like, I mean, how? Like, if you think about like her protecting those children and like using the sewing needle to stab him in the neck and the hanger to get him in the eye and like just taking on Michael Myers, like the amount of bravery it takes to do that.
That's why I say she really picked up in the end. In the end, I rooted for her. I wanted her to succeed because she was so good at like fighting off Michael Myers. But then like in the beginning, she was kind of just like, she didn't really have a character. Like, I would say that's character development.
Right. She had an arc.
But, like, see, here's the part where I'm, like, getting lost because how the next one, number one, has more characters being developed than just Laurie. Michael's already Michael. Michael's Michael. You can't really change that. Loomis is a Loomis. But, like, Laurie Strode had that character development. Other than slow pacing, it was a great movie. I would say it's killer. So,
Well, this leads into the number one spot on our list. And leading into mine, 1978 Halloween. I mean, this is the OG.
yeah.
This is, you know, this is the movie of movies, man. Like,
Yeah, and I'll save everybody the trouble too. Number one on my list as well for 1970. I mean, how do you beat like 1978 in my mind boils down to one scene, which it's all about the tension. It's not about the gore. It's the platonic like slasher movie. The kind of the one that defines like, you know, suburban safety question is Halloween 1, and it's just you know, one of the scenes in my mind that defines this movie is they're driving along, they're talking about, you know, they're having this conversation where these two high school girls are having this conversation, but in the rearview mirror
Michael Myers.
you see that the hood of that brown station wagon,
right.
and you know that he's just there.
Right.
Why is he going after these? What's happening? What is Michael Myers looking to do with any of this? Why does he take the gravestone from his sister, something that no single man should be able to lift, and put it on that bed? Why does he dress up for one execution and then doesn't care for any of the other ones? But that's the thing, is he's the shape in this movie. He's not Michael Myers. He's not related to Laurie Strode. He's not related to anybody. Why is he doing what he's doing? Because he's the shape, and that's what the shape does. And he escaped. He got out, and Loomis is the only desperate man who understands the depth of this evil that nobody else can. and he does something about it. He doesn't just stand by helplessly. He's packing heat. He's ready to rock. Like he's going to do something about it, and he's going after his patient that has essentially been raised with him. And it's just got all these great characters, all this great stuff. I mean, it's just
it's got great lines,
like
the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, the best line. Lori, was it the Boogeyman? And Loomis, as a matter of fact, it was.
Yeah, right. Just iconic.
Yeah.
The ending was really good. Like, you don't know where he is.
And back to what
breathing at the end.
so back to what Dan said, and even Bearclaw, like, this movie sets up the idea he could be anywhere. And they show you that at the end with the scenes cutting to, first off, his body not being there in the grass. And then the breathing in all the scenes, and that's the true tension. That's what's scary to me. This is killer.
Yeah, obviously killer for me. But let's hear Dan's number one.
Dan, what do you got? Number one.
Number one is Halloween 2, 1981. So,
oh yeah, you had said this before, tying it together.
So for every issue that Bearclaw has with Halloween 2, how this sets forth in motion all of these other possibilities of bad things, bad creative decisions in all the previous movies. I think that's a crock. Plainly speaking, this movie, every good thing about this movie, every other movie has tried to replicate and cannot. Every scene, every kill scene is iconic. Every scene in this movie is iconic. Like the kill from the nurse, lifting her up off of her feet, dropping
the shoes
on the floor.
But that's not the first one.
That's the second one. And
or that's the first one because he kills the boyfriend first by lifting him up.
You're right, but the shoes don't drop.
The shoes don't drop.
And this one's from behind with a scalpel.
Yeah.
You're missing the context here. This is the kill where it's like it's game on. This is the kill that enters into the third act, where the third act is one giant chase scene throughout the hospital.
That is true.
You get the needle kill. You get the spa kill where he kills the girl in the boiling hot water. You have the pervy guy who has all the funny one-liners. I love how it picks up right where the first one is left at. And like you said, he is going through other homes and he's killing people, he's grabbing weapons, he is taking in the environment. He learns that Lori is in the hospital while walking in a guy with a boombox. Mm-hmm. So like that tips him off that I gotta go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that this story gives him a motive, that it is in fact his sister. And that is what drives him. He's so focused on Lori, and he's literally this unstoppable force. And Lori went toe to toe with him in the first one and survived. And like what Logan was saying, this movie demonstrates that Lori is not safe, that this thing is unstoppable. Mm-hmm. And it's coming for her. And being in a locked facility isn't going to keep her safe. The ending. It's a definitive ending.
Right.
And you want my personal opinion? This should have been it.
This was the ending. Yeah. Yep. I like, too, how he still was walking on fire.
Yeah. Iconic scene. Right. And then he just dropped. And then he's the still frame cut at the end is just his eye hole burning out. And Mr. Sandman comes up.
Right.
End scene. Just the opening credits with the pumpkin opening up to reveal a skull in the middle. Mm-hmm. Just everything about this movie I love. I love the suspense. I love the kills. I love the pacing. I love the ending. it is the definitive ending to the first one, and I cannot watch them without watching them together.
I got you.
It completes the Halloween story, in my opinion, and everything else is fan service.
Dang. Mic drop. Is this a killer?
Obviously.
No, it's a victim.
Logan, finish us up. What do we got here?
We have the iconic, the awesome, and the... I'm trying to think of a word. The extremely fantastic, fan service-y kind of film in Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
What a freaking movie. This movie, I didn't even watch the original 1978 movie when I saw this for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this on a whim because I just wanted to. And I found myself being entertained with zero context clues of what was going to happen. And since I've watched it back, I realized that you don't need context clues to watch this movie and be damn entertained. Because this movie is so good at bringing everything in so neatly, and everything feels like it is like a first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really the first movie, but it feels like it's rejuvenated. Like it's given a new coat of paint.
You're
and
right.
It is
Yeah.
completely just touched upon. Like Halloween 2 didn't exist. I'm not okay with that, but I understand why they had to do it. To get rid of anything that has happened up to the point, to try to make it so that Laurie Strode has become obsessed with this one thing that won't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the reason why Halloween Kills is so high up in my list, is because the flashback scenes from Halloween Kills.
We didn't even touch on those. And
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want you guys to touch up upon those, because I wanted to talk about this going into my Halloween 2018. Is the flashback scenes make Halloween 2018 feel so much better. Because it's like, okay, Halloween 1978 ends with we don't know where he is.
Right.
And the flashbacks show
They
where
fill in the
he's
gaps.
going in, where he's going, where everything is happening, and it makes more of a story connecting to this one.
Right.
It connects it all like a piece to the puzzle of like this great trilogy. Obviously, we don't talk about ends, but 1978 feels like a new movie. It feels like an entirely new movie with Laurie Strode, like you guys said, like this completely different Laurie Strode than we're used to, of her being this kind of survivor, this victim of Michael Myers' terror, but also allowing it to kind of consume her day-to-day life, as well as like her entire like career over the last 40 years, and having it all like consume her entire like relationship with her daughter, her granddaughter. Like everything that has happened in her life is because of this man, and it makes her so hateful that she builds a bunker
Right.
to try to stop this person. And when he finally breaks out, he goes on a rampage, and it is awesome, with him going house to house, killing people one by one, not even caring what he has to use to do it. And it is so awesome how he does it with such efficiency, and it's just bone chilling, but also suspenseful. It's just an awesome movie to like sit through and watch. With all like Halloween, like the original Halloween 1978 was him killing off babysitters. That's what he does with this one too.
You're right. There is some of that.
Yeah.
And I think Allison's character, obviously, I mean, like we didn't really see much of Allison in this movie as much as like we did in the next one, but just for her to get this soft start to her arc.
Yeah.
Is just inspiring to show like how she has kind of survived Michael Myers. Like she was literally in the like right next to him, running away from him. Like that chase scene where she was running in the woods.
Oh
like,
yeah, that has some of my favorite music.
the
too.
music,
Like John
the
Carpenter,
atmosphere,
yeah.
the stress that was put into that movie makes it so much better. It is so much better than 1978 because of how much I was enjoying watching it. And I think
I almost agreed with you, to be honest. I almost had it one on my list.
And
It's number 3 on my list for a reason.
Yeah.
here's where I disagree with you, where you have it standing. Dr. Sartain was a good character.
Wow.
Because Michael Myers wasn't connected to Laurie Strode in any way possible.
Right.
Like we said in Halloween Kills, and I think because of that, it makes Dr. Sartain feel more like he's the anti-Loomis. Loomis was
you're
more
right.
consumed by killing him, while Dr. Sartain is actually consumed over understanding him.
Right.
He wants to understand what makes him tick.
You're right.
And he thinks Laurie Strode is the answer to this when he is obviously wrong about that. Michael Myers is Michael Myers. He's evil. He's the embodiment of evil. And I think just Sartain being like kind of killed by Michael kind of shows like he was wrong.
Right.
Michael doesn't give a damn who he kills. He just
Right.
wants...
He's an unstoppable
He's an
force.
unstoppable force. And even the scene with Laurie in the house fighting off Michael Myers kind of like it's kind of a parallel to the first time they fought. And it's just great how she kind of taught herself like how he thinks, how he acts, and kind of like paralleling what he did in the first movie with him looking out the window
Right.
and she's gone.
Right. I like that callback.
And bringing in Karen, kind of like Karen wasn't really a big part in the movie in the beginning. Like she was kind of just like, I don't really trust my mother. Like she's a crazy like person. And then completely just going savage mode and getting the gotcha, shooting Michael, and then trapping him in the cage and ending it with them setting the place on fire. It's just a perfect ending to a great movie. And I think it just ties it together with a bow. Obviously, leaving it off on a cliffhanger with Allison holding the bloody knife is just a great way to close out on a great movie. I think this entire movie was just a masterpiece.
Wow.
It is not a killer. It is like beyond a killer.
Serial killer.
It is a mass murderer. It is like an unbelievable.
You know what? I'm glad you actually picked this as your number one, because to me, this movie 2018 does bring Halloween to a new generation of kids,
Yeah, it
you
keeps
know?
it definitely made it alive again.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of, much like Michael, there was a lot of people that had tried to kill it over the years. And this movie is Michael getting back up.
Right. Setting up.
It's such a good movie. It is such a good
Very
movie.
good movie.
Well, now that we've come to the end of our rankings, why don't we go around really quick, give a recap of our rankings, and then each of us are going to give either our hook, line, or stinker for the series. So I'll go first. My ranking, starting from 1, is 1978 Halloween 1. Number 2, 2018 Halloween. Number 3, Halloween 4. Number 4, Halloween 6. Number 5, Halloween 2, 1981. Number 6, Halloween 5. Number 7, H2O. Number 8, Kills. Number 9, Ends. Number 10, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Number 11, Rob Zombie, Halloween 1. Number 12, Rob Zombie, Halloween 2. And number 13, Resurrection. For my hook, my favorite kill, I got to go with the tracking shot from the 2018, and we look through that window and we see him come up from behind that woman and put the knife through her throat. That is my favorite in the whole series. I love that whole scene. My line, I was going to go with Cookie Woman. I was going to go with, I bet she wears crotchless panties and barks like a dog. But I'm going to go with Dr. Loomis's famous quote in the original, with the, I met him 15 years ago. I was told, the whole, he's got the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. That's my favorite line. And for my stinker, I really don't have too many. I do like the Cookie Woman. Do you think you can read us the Cookie Woman quote?
Sure. Billy, store. Loomis, store. What kind of store? What do they sell? Jamie, all-nighter. Billy, all-nighter. Loomis, what do they sell? Jamie, big. Billy, big. Jamie, woman. Billy, woman. Loomis, a big woman who works in the store? Jamie, shaking head. No. Loomis, what, Jamie, what? She starts crying. Jamie, Cookie Woman. Billy, Cookie Woman. Loomis,
Cookie woman. Cookie woman.
cop at pageant. Dale's gas station, 5th and Main.
Amazing. That is my stinker. If you don't know, that's from Halloween 5, by the way. All right, over to Dan.
Alrighty. So my rankings are at number 1, Halloween 2. Number 2, Halloween 78. Number 3, Halloween 2018. Number 4, Halloween 4. Number 5, Halloween Ends. Number 6, Rob Zombie's Halloween. Number 7, Halloween H2O. At number 8, Halloween Kills. At number 9, Halloween 6. At number 10, Halloween Resurrection. At number 11, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. At number 12, Halloween 5. And at number 13, Halloween 3. My favorite hook has to be from Halloween 2. It is the scene where the nurse discovers the doctor with the syringe in his eye. And then you see Michael's mask in the background. Again.
Yeah, like coming out from the blackness, right?
Yep. Kind of like goes to a throwback to the original when Laurie Strode's in the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love the fact that like you kind of see the soft outline of the white, and as he gets closer, you see his facial features start to fill out more, and you realize like he's slowly like stalking and comes up and drills that needle right into her temple.
Mm.
Great scene, I think. Stinker, it's got to be Resurrection with the head lopped off.
Yes. Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Do you have
Man,
a line at all?
I mean, I think I kind of touched on it. It's really the only one that kind of sticks out to me that's kind of funny is the fresh fennel. It's just, again, the idea of Michael at a farmer's market. Just picking out fresh.
If any of our listeners can make that in Photoshop, that would be great. All right, Bearclaw, what's your ranking?
All right, so my ranking is number 1, Halloween 1978. That one's a killer. Number 2 is Halloween H2O, also a killer. Number 3 is Halloween 2018, killer. Number 4 is Halloween Kills, killer. Number 5, Rob Zombie's Halloween, victim. Number 6 is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, victim. Number 7 is Halloween Ends, victim. Number 8 is Halloween 5, survivor. Number 9 is Halloween 4, victim. Number 10 is Halloween 2, victim. Number 11 is Halloween Resurrection, survivor. Number 12 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, survivor. And number 13 is Halloween 6, victim. My favorite line in the entire series is still comes from the 1978 one, or no, Hook first. My favorite Hook is actually in the Rob Zombie movie, and it comes from the trucker being killed. That's one of my favorite kills.
That's a cool one.
Just because there's a knife fight, there's a seemingly formidable opponent, and it's not just while it's not the classic kill, it went a long way to making you truly terrified of Michael in the Rob Zombie movie. So that was one of my favorite hooks. My favorite line is still when Laurie and Dr. Loomis are talking, and it was the boogeyman, and Loomis being able to say, as a matter of fact, it was.
I love that line.
That's one of my favorite lines of the movie, and the stinker, and it hurts me that this is a stinker, but it's got to be Michael crying in number 5.
Yeah, I agree.
How can that not be the
Stinkiest of stink?
stinkiest? How can that not be the smelliest of diapers? When I mean, he has literally taken the knife to greater than 20 people, and you're gonna have him start crying for some reason, by Halloween 5. I mean, I don't know what his kill count is by Halloween 5, but it's gotta be crazy. And all of a sudden he grows emotions and remorse and all of these things that are just
Character development.
just totally backtracks on everything. So and the Man in Black aspect of that as well is just total stinkers. So
I agree.
that's my Halloween ranking and my hook, line, and stinker.
All right, Logan, finish us up. What's your ranking?
Okay, number 1 is 2018. Number 2 is Halloween 1978. Number 3 is Halloween 2, 1981. Number 4 is Halloween Kills. Number 5 is H2O. Number 6 is Halloween 4. Number 7 is Halloween 6. Number 8 is Halloween Ends. Number 9 is Rob Zombie's Halloween. Number 10 is Halloween Resurrection. Number 11 is Rob Zombie Halloween 2. Number 12 is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And finally, number 13 is Halloween 5. Okay, and here we go. Hook, line, and stinker. Hook was a hard one to do. There were so many good ones over the years. It's like AFB when you see the ending, like the montage of all the great clips that have happened. Let's just put that up on the screen. But I think the best kill was the firefighter scene in Halloween Kills. I think that was absolutely brutal, and it was just great. Line, Cookie Woman.
Okay, woman.
Cookie woman.
I think that scene will always be in my brain permanently for how bad it was. And then Stinker, it was originally Busta Rhymes kicking Michael Myers out of the window. But I've changed it to Michael listening to Busta Rhymes to go back to the garage.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was supposed to be going. Okay.
Like, he's literally listening. It's like 2 minutes of him going, go back to the garage, go back. And he's like, he's listening. He's like, okay, fine, whatever.
Should I kill him now, or maybe I'll go back to the garage? Okay, I'll go back to the
That'd
garage.
be something sharp in the garage.
Yeah.
He's got a point.
That was a good stinker. That
I would say that, or like Evil Dies Tonight being said like 24 times.
Yeah, people who didn't hear it in the first time just picking up on it instantly. Evil Dies Tonight.
Well, listen, I salute you all for Evil Dies Tonight.
Having to listen to that.
Oh my god, yeah. This was our introductory episode. We gave our Halloween ranking from 1 to 13 of all the movies in the series. This was kind of a longer episode, so we appreciate you guys sticking in and listening. And, give us your thoughts. What's your ranking? Because I think we all have different opinions. And some of us, like Halloween 6 a lot more than others.
You had it pretty high up.
Some of us like Halloween 2 a lot more than others.
That is very true.
Some of us hate Halloween a lot more than others.
Oh, man.
Some of us put Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 way too high up on that list there.
Well, thank you guys. We'll be back with another episode soon enough. We're going to do just a singular review next time. So pay attention. We'll have something coming up soon. In the meantime, back into the padded room with you. We'll see you soon.